Not exactly sure what's happening here with this, but we got federal charges pretty much imminent here on the Jussie Smollett case. And since my camera's being a little fuzzy, if you stick to the very end of the video, I will have something funny that I'll do, maximize on the comedic effect of whatever the hell is going on with my camera. So stay tuned to the very end. Hopefully you'll get a chuckle out of it. All right, let's do this. Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love. Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome to my channel. If you stick to the end, I'm going to try to make the most of that foggy lens for some reason. I've cleaned it, but if you stick to the end, I'm going to try to have a little something that's both entertaining and hopefully informative at the same time. So stick to the end and hopefully you guys get a laugh out of it. CWB Chicago. Smollett threat letter called an enormous mistake. Purported attack location identified. Federal charges certain. Bum, bum, bum. On Friday, January 18th, a letter was dropped into a mailbox in Chicago's southwest suburbs. Dun dun dun. The envelope was addressed in childlike scrawl to Empire TV star Jussie Smollett at Cinespace Studios, a West Side production facility that the Fox program calls home. MAGA, dun dun dun. The acronym for Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign slogan, Make America Great Again, dun dun dun. All right, I'll stop doing that. Was sloppily written in the return address space. Oh, no. 4 days later, and about 11 miles away, a mailman delivered the letter, which found its way to Smollett. Something about the envelope must have raised Smollett's concerns. He would later tell police and Empire executive producers, what? Something about the envelope must have raised Smollett's concerns. He would later tell police that he and Empire's executive producer donned gloves before they opened it and exposed themselves to a threat letter covered in white powder. Okay, full stop. All right, hold on. This picture right here, this one right here. Okay, look, on outward appearance, if I saw that and it was mailed to my business and I was a star, okay, you're not seeing the bottom part. You're just seeing the top part. That's it. You're just seeing this part, okay? And I was a star of a hit, quote-unquote hit, but everything that I see shows that the ratings are tanking, so I don't know why they're saying it's a hit TV show. Everything about this would have told me on the outside, and again, this is just human nature speaking, everything about this would have told me on the outside that, wait a second, this looks like a child is a fan of mine. Okay, and then there's the argument, well, but what about the powder? You would feel the powder through the envelope. Okay, my thinking would have been this. It is a child that is a star that is like giving me some memento that broke when it was in the mail. I would not automatically assume that it was a nefarious envelope with a powder in there. Unless, of course, I was the one that had written the letter and I was fully expecting an unknown substance later identified to be aspirin inside the envelope. That's just human nature. You can't get away from human nature. Human nature dictates everything. Human nature is what dictates where we go, how we act. The powder was later determined to be crushed Tylenol, according to reports. But the letter addressed Smollett by name, depicting a curly-haired stick figure being hanged by another stick figure with a noose, and threatening Smollett with anti-black and anti-gay slurs that had been formed with the individual letters, words cut from magazines. So in a sense, that was his own, what do they call it in the movie, when you have those little screens that tell you what scene is what, this is what the scene is going to be. He was basically doing that right there. Quote, "You will die, black fag," is what it says. About a week after Smollett opened the letter, he told police that he was beaten and kicked by two men who recognized him from Empire. They poured bleach on him and, in throwbacks to the threat letter, called him anti-gay, anti-black slurs while putting a noose around his neck and screaming, "This is MAGA country," in Streeterville. As Smollett reported the attack to police, a multi-agency federal investigation into the source of the threat later was entering its 7th day. Headed by the FBI Chicago field office, the terroristic threat investigation is being assisted by one of America's oldest and most underestimated law enforcement agencies, the United States Postal Inspection Service. And let me tell you something, I did a little bit of research on the United States Postal Inspection Service, and they have an immaculate record. Oh, these guys are good. They are superb. You should see, I highly recommend you guys go online and look up the United States Postal Inspection Services and some of the crimes that they have solved using the, oh my, these guys are good. It will fascinate you. If you're into that type of stuff, I suppose. Okay, so you didn't lose our place. We are right here. Headed by the Chicago field office, the terroristic threat investigation is being assisted by, I read that. I've had too much wine. Whoever sent the letter to Smollett may have considered the mail to be an untraceable way to deliver a message. They'd be mistaken. Oh, yes, they would. Haha. Those postal guys are the real deal, said a Northside cop who worked with inspectors on a serial package theft case in Lincoln Park last November. They can do amazing things and aren't afraid of the work. Since being created by Benjamin Franklin, yes, that Benjamin Franklin, the service has learned a few things about tracing mail-based crimes. Figuring out who mailed a letter has been made easier because, while most criminals know to wear gloves when they mail an illegal item, most criminals also forget to leave their cell phones at home. Oh. They know where the envelope was mailed to. They can take Jussie's GPS tracking time. They can know where the mail was mailed from, what post office it originally was originated at. They will then know what time at that post office that letter was mailed. After they find out what time and what place that letter was mailed in, the place of origin, if you will, they will then compare that against Jussie's phone records and his GPS positioning, which I will almost guarantee you they probably already have. Even without tracking phones, inspectors have a catalog of techniques developed over the course of 200 years to track a letter to its source. More than 1,000 white powder cases were investigated between January 2007 and March 2009 alone, according to the LA Times. And inspectors are not afraid of tedious work. They are not. I have worked with some of them. They are top-notch. They are not kidding. These guys are good. I kid you not. You think Postal Service? Yeah, no, These guys have some resources. Retired Chicago cop Donnie Kennedy. My first experience with postal inspectors was in 1987. I answered a call to see the mother about the mailman. Kenny remembered. The mother thought the mailman was flirting with her 12-year-old daughter. I was very new, and I eventually wound up contacting the postal inspectors. I'd never heard of them before. The inspectors met Kenny at the mother's house to compile some information. While they did that, they asked Kenny to earn the girl's confidence. She did. She told me she had sex with the 36-year-old mailman who said he wanted to marry her. Ooh, that was day one. The next morning, after roll call, Kenny was called into a meeting. The postal inspectors dropped a thick 3-ring binder on the desk and said, "Come with us." They had spent the whole night interviewing the whole neighborhood, getting the mailman's personal record, which included previous complaints of inappropriate sexual behavior with minors, and the report from the emergency room where I had taken the girl the day before. I didn't even realize there was an emergency room doctor's report. Kenny worked side by side with the inspectors, shepherding the girl through the meetings with detectives and prosecutors. I learned so much in those few days, and I was grateful for the education on how to do things properly from start to finish. To this day, they are two of the best cops I have ever worked with. And postal inspectors are heavily trained in some of the same techniques as I am. For instance, the read technique and basic human interaction and basic human knowledge, basically knowledge of how the human being reacts under certain situations and how to manipulate those situations to elicit the proper responses that you're seeking at whatever said time for whatever said reason. New developments. Two Lakeview brothers, who were previously considered persons of interest in Smollett's purported attack, told police during interrogations last week that Smollett staged the hate crimes because he was upset that the threat letter did not get enough attention, ABC News reported Monday afternoon. Detectives are investigating their claim. Meanwhile, the FBI and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service has been quietly working on the origins of Smollett's letter for nearly a month, giving it far more attention than he knew, and that's how they operate. They don't want you to know what they're doing. Late Monday, CWB Chicago received confirmation that the letter case has been before a federal grand jury, and multiple subpoenas had been generated over the course of the investigation. One of them will be the GPS tracking for Jussie's phone. They don't need his phone for that. Get real, Jussie. In a conversation on February 8th, before police met with brothers Ola and Abel Osandario, a leading source within the Smollett attack investigation called the hate crime a false flag and said there is a direct line between the letter and the purported attack. In the same conversation, the source hinted at what was to come. This is not a whodunit. It's a how many people done it. And that's where I'm going to end this. If you hold on just a second, I'm going to have some thoughts on this.
If you will, entertain me for but a moment, while I take maximum advantage of this camera malfunction for maximum comedic value, and hope that it is foggy enough that the unintentional flare of the candle that I'm going to leave there because it's just a cool effect, and that you won't see this as a pile of toilet paper, but rather a luxurious white cat that I am gently stroking to portray that air of awesomeness. And thank you for your views and your subscriptions, and for the ability to get my opinion out there, and for the ability for you to comment and thereby have your opinion heard as well, as the cat jumps off my lap. And I invite you now to join the discussion, not just on this, but on every single video. I do videos on other topics, and I definitely would welcome you to watch them, comment on them, and give me your opinion. And now I will close with whatever kind of cheesy thing that they would have done in those cheesy movies back in the day at this appropriate time. And dear God, I think the camera is getting even foggier. I have cleaned it. So, this is Paramount Cyclops signing off. And I will see you in the next one.